Welcome to Pushing Limits, Facing Consequences, where curiosity meets caution and humanity's boldest moves face nature's rawest truths. From daring wildlife encounters to the unintended consequences of tampering with the natural world, we explore the stories that make you think twice about pushing the boundaries. Buckle up, because when we cross the line, nature always has the final say. Timothy Treadwell wasn't just a bear enthusiast. He was a man who believed he'd forged an unbreakable bond with Alaskan grizzly bears. For 13 years, he lived among them, convinced he was their protector, their friend. But in October 2003, that belief shattered in the most horrifying way imaginable. It was supposed to be a routine expedition, the end of another season in the wilderness. But as night fell, Timothy's girlfriend Amy heard a sound that would haunt her final moments, a blood-curdling scream outside their tent. The same grizzlies Timothy had trusted with his life were now tearing him apart. And soon they came for Amy too. The next day, a pilot arrived to pick up the couple. But instead of a reunion, he stumbled upon a nightmare. The campsite was eerily silent, no sign of Timothy or Amy. Then, in the distance, he saw it. A massive grizzly gnawing on something that shouldn't have been there. A human ribcage. Terrified, the pilot backed away and alerted park rangers. What they found was a scene of unimaginable horror. Scattered remains identified as Timothy and Amy. 2 bears were killed on site, and a grisly discovery awaited investigators. Human remains were found in their stomachs. But the most chilling revelation wasn't the carnage left behind. It was what investigators discovered after. The couple's final moments had been captured on tape. The camera's lens cap was on, but the audio, it was all there. Acclaimed filmmaker Werner Herzog, one of the few people to have heard the tape, described it as something no human should ever endure. Though the recording has never been officially released, rumors swirl that it's hidden in the shadowy corners of the internet. But before we delve into those whispers, let's uncover the darker truths. What made these grizzlies snap? Why was Timothy told to leave the bears before October? How many warnings did he ignore? And why, in those final harrowing moments, was the camera rolling? Timothy Treadwell, the man who passionately championed grizzly bears, speaking out against the threats they faced, both real and imagined. But beneath the surface of his advocacy lay a darker truth, one shaped by a troubled past and an unshakable belief that he belonged more with bears than with people. Timothy's youth was marked by struggle. Alienated from society, he dropped out of college, succumbed to alcoholism, and spiraled into drug addiction, with firearms mishandling thrown into the mix. It seemed his life was careening toward disaster, until one fateful trip to Alaska at the age of 32. There, in the shadow of the wild, Timothy encountered his first grizzly bear. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging, a purpose he'd never found among humans. He gave up drugs cold turkey and vowed never to touch them again.
Hi, go back to your friend. Go back to your friend.
That moment sparked an obsession, and each year he returned to Alaska, documenting his close encounters with these massive predators. His videos, raw and intimate, began to attract the attention of the media and the authorities. Despite having no formal training in wildlife behavior, Timothy was convinced he had a unique bond with the bears, that he was one of them, part of their society. But that belief became a double-edged sword. His interactions with the bears grew increasingly reckless, blurring the line between conservationist and thrill-seeker. Warnings piled up. Authorities issued citations, urging him to rethink his approach. By 1998, Timothy's behavior had grown so concerning that officials implemented a new rule, unofficially dubbed the Treadwell Rule. Campers were now required to move their campsites every few days to prevent bears from becoming accustomed to human presence. A rule born from the growing tension between Timothy's idealism and the wild reality of the grizzlies he claimed to understand. Timothy Treadwell refused to follow park regulations. He lived by his own rules, funded by donations from Hollywood celebrities and his growing media presence. For 13 summers, he immersed himself in the world of grizzlies. convinced he had uncovered a secret society no one else could ever understand. By 2003, Timothy, now 46, was ready to share this hidden world with his girlfriend, Amy. But the timing couldn't have been worse. As October began, most campers in Katmai National Park had already left. Grizzlies were becoming more aggressive, frantically fattening up for winter hibernation. Ignoring the danger, Timothy and Amy stayed behind. Obsessed with finding his favorite female bear, Timothy moved their camp to a perilous spot. A convergence of bear trails near a salmon-filled lake, a magnet for hungry predators. By October 5th, just 24 hours before their scheduled pickup, Timothy and Amy made a final satellite phone call to a friend. It was raining heavily, and Amy remained inside the tent preparing snacks when she heard Timothy calling her name. At first, she grabbed the camera and switched it on. But then his calls turned into frantic, desperate screams. Amy left the camera running inside the tent, the lens cap still on, and rushed out. What she saw was the nightmare Timothy had long denied could happen: a 450-kilogram bear attacking him. He screamed for her to help, to hit the bear and scare it off. Amy yelled for him to play dead, but this wasn't an attack out of fear. It was out of hunger. Realizing the futility of his struggle, Timothy shouted for Amy to save herself, but the couple had come woefully unprepared. No bear spray, no deterrents, nothing that could have stopped the inevitable. Within minutes, Timothy's screams ceased, and the recording fell silent. No one knows exactly how long Amy survived after the attack, but when the pilot arrived the next day to pick them up, it was clear no one was coming home. The campsite was littered with the horrific evidence of what had transpired, their remains scattered, and a massive bear still lurking nearby. Despite this tragedy, rumors of the audio recording leaked online, spreading like wildfire. Some claim to have heard the couple's final moments, a haunting reminder of the fine line between awe and peril in the wild. According to authorities, Timothy's years of reckless behavior and blatant disregard for park regulations sealed his tragic fate. His decision to camp in a high-risk bear area, dangerously close to their food source, and his audacity to approach and even touch these wild creatures made the unthinkable all but inevitable. But here's something you might not know. Grizzlies aren't even the deadliest bears out there. There's another species responsible for more human fatalities than any other, and trust me, it's not the one you're expecting. Want to find out which one? Stick with us here on Pushing Limits, Facing Consequences. Thanks for joining us on Pushing Limits, Facing Consequences. Remember, every action leaves a mark, and nature always strikes back. If you found this story captivating, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that explore the wild side of human curiosity. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and always respect the wild.